you've achieved like over six figures, I believe, in sales from this thing on a monthly basis. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive, bro.
6 months in a row, back to back to back to back to back.
Seriously.
Yeah, where like
When you joined back into that, was it 2014?
yeah.
Okay, so 6 years ago or so, like you joined. What were you doing before you joined?
So I was a pizza delivery driver when I moved to Colorado in 2012 and 2013. I got a shitty sales gig. You know how Ryan sold meat?
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, similar situation. And so I joined November 2014. I had been doing that job for about a year. It was good money. And then it took me a whole other year. And I had about 10 or 12 lead gen sites up after 1 year. And I was only, making a decent little amount, not like much,
Yeah.
but enough to quit my job and start focusing full time on the lead gen and the terpenes. Cause I still hadn't even it took me 1 year to make $1
Right.
from this flavoring business.
Oh,
and
see where it's at now. So cool.
Yeah, hundreds of no's, like legitimately, like, we don't know why you're doing this, you need to stop. And I just so then kind of the next step was to then expand on this one niche that I'm in. And so I've got flavorings. So I started selling beakers and pipettes and hot plates and everything you needed to take the flavoring and put them into the oils. And so then the oil was being put into these tiny little cartridges. Okay. And so I was like, all right, we'll go to China, find a manufacturer for cartridges. Went through probably 100 different carts before we found the one. And yeah. And so I was already sending out 200 packages a month that already dealt with this. So I just got this, made a website called highqualitycarts.com, branded it, and put this one little cart inside each one of my boxes that were already going out, and started an entire another brand on that end.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you for just a second and hold you right there. All right, start another brand, because I want to point out something to everyone listening in, because it's like you start, obviously we teach this local lead gen strategy, where you obviously move a site up through the search engines, sprinkle a phone number all over the web, all these different traffic sources that we kind of push through. In turn, obviously generates leads for, the plumber, the electrician, and whoever else is in those local marketing spaces. But what I think is really cool about what you've done, and I've done some of these similar types of where I started it as one way, and then I was like, that's too good, I'm going to keep that business for myself, kind of like what you saw. But it's really important that people see the bigger macro point of what you did, which is you partnered with essentially a company that's been around for 100+ years selling these oils. And people, again, you don't think of that as lead gen, right? Like that, you think of that, I could never be doing business with a company like that. They're like an international or national type brand. They're huge, big business, right? But in reality, a lot of these manufacturers that exist out there, they'll sell to anyone, right? And so I've experienced this. You and I have talked about this at length when we did some of the stuff with the masks and the packaging and all that stuff. Is like, sometimes it's just kind of connecting the dots. And as we spoke about, with some of the other stuff we trained this summer, those manufacturing deals where, yes, is it a little bit more work to have the whole operation? But when you have the marketing, which you do, you understand how it all works, and then you're actually like at the mouth of this thing in the manufacturing, the profit margins are quite large, because you're taking it from manufacturer all the way to consumer. And a lot of people don't understand that, because we kind of focus hard in on these like phone driven local business type niches, but it's the same processes apply on things like this. And this is a giant type of a deal. And I think you're as I remember, like a few months ago when you let me know, like you've achieved like over six figures, I believe, in sales from this thing on a monthly basis. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive, bro.
6 months in a row, back to back to back to back to back.
Seriously.
Yeah, where like I had hit that one or two other times in the last couple of years. And, that was like my peak, where now it's, the regular.
Consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
You stamp down a footprint throughout all these different channels that bring in the eyeballs.